the summer, but I guess I'll pay. Any niggas that my members right as
It's LOLD.
Tell him fuck a fuck nigga if he hating and you broke. I think it's time to get your bands up, hey. Tell him fuck a fuck nigga if he hating and he broke. I think it's time to.
Rules
Crash.
were applied. No speaking. The defendant's representative, as well as the prosecutor's victim, has the floor. You may resume.
Miss Alexis, we left off upon my question if there was any further domestic violence issues in the past. You failed to answer that question. Again, I will ask you the question one more time. Do you have any knowledge of Mr. Arbaugh assaulting you prior to this incident?
Can you repeat the question again? I didn't hear it.
Yes, ma'am. My question is do you have any knowledge of my client, Mr. Arbaugh, assaulting you prior to this incident?
No, like I said in the previous question, he never showed signs of it at all. He never abused me in the past, never hit me in the past. It's just been a rough few months, and I guess he must have broke in a way.
Miss Alexis, is there any possible way that you are so affected by the emotional damage that you are not thinking clearly on the stand right now?
I'm thinking perfectly fine, sir.
You're good, Jace. I'll admit that you're really good.
Relevant to anything.
Miss Alexis, were you aware at the beginning of the relationship that there was a chance that my client, Mr. Arbaugh, may have shown signs of assaulting you?
No, when I first met him, he was really nice. He never. I thought he would never have done something like this, but I don't know.
And Miss Alexis, is there any witnesses in the past that have visually witnessed my client, Mr. Arbaugh, assault you?
No, there was only that one incident, which was in my home. Well, my uncle's home, I should say.
Miss Alexis, were you aware that Mr. Arbaugh had weapons in the home?
I thought there was a possibility. Because I don't know what he does on his daily life, but it's America. Anyone has a weapon in beside their bed, beside anyone. So
And Miss Alexis, do you have any mental illness requiring you to not think properly?
No, I do not have any mental illnesses.
Thank you, Miss Alexis. Your Honor, if I have the floor, I would like to say a few words.
You do have the floor. You may proceed.
Your Honor,
you can also call me up there if you want to.
Your Honor, I think it's clear here that my client has had no run-ins with law enforcement in the past, causing a history of domestic violence. It is, upon further review of my questioning, it seems Miss Alexis is a little bit damaged.
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection granted. You may proceed.
Your Honor.
If I may intervene and speak to the defendant's representative, we are on trial for the incident itself, not anything that happened prior to the incident. Therefore, if you would like to show evidence of what happened and that your client did not do what the incident says he did, as well as the officers and the evidence states he did, then you may proceed. We're not on trial for anything.
Ask if there's any cameras on the property that can prove it.
Any history.
Yeah, I know, I'm getting to that.
Although it may be relevant,
I was trying to say that.
It will not sway this trial. So if you may present evidence on how he did not commit the incident when the incident was committed, I am aware that maybe he has not had any domestic run-ins prior to the incident, but this trial is for the incident itself, not any altercations before the incident. So can you provide evidence to us that he did not commit the crime that we are on trial for right now, sir?
Your Honor, if you would let me finish, the reason I brought my client's history up is due to the fact that we're looking at a man that's being convicted of two crimes here that can change his life. My client is willing to take a plea deal for the felony eluding. As far as the domestic violence goes, we're looking at somebody here again, and I will continue to bring up my client's past due to the fact that it can very well sway the situation. Your Honor, I believe that you see multiple victims a day due to domestic battery, and the assaulters, have proof, you could say, of their clients, physically, verbally, and sexually assaulting them. Our defendants here, Miss Alexis, we have no proof that my client assaulted her. Miss Alexis, I'd like to ask you one more further question. Do you have security cameras on the property? Because to my knowledge, in the police report, there was no CCTV that showed my client assaulting Miss Alexis, causing there to be no proof that my client physically assaulted her due to the marks that could be caused by something else. So I asked the trial to present me evidence of the cameras if they were on the property.
May I say
Understood.
something, Your
Absolutely. You still have the floor, Miss Alexis.
Okay. So, you're saying that I would purposely accuse someone of something that could jeopardize their entire life on something.
Objection, irrelevant.
I will have to grant that this is quite irrelevant. We do not know your personal history or your personal affiliation. Therefore, we cannot know exactly if the crime has been altered.
Once you do
due
this,
to
Jace,
your
call me up
personal,
to
Yes. Your
opinion
Honor.
of the defendant. So if we could keep
call me
this
up to the
straight to the
stand
facts of
when
the
you get the
evidence.
chance.
Yep.
But he also
Your Honor.
Sorry, go ahead and let her go, sir. You may go,
Yes,
Miss
sir.
Alexis.
Yes, Your Honor.
What is your question, Miss Alexis?
Your Honor, he earlier mentioned that this could ruin their life, which yes is true. So
That
why
is true, but that
my
is also
statement was
irrelevant.
objected? Okay, it was never objected then. Why was mine objected now?
Because if your representative had declared an objection, I would have went ahead and approved it. That seems to be between you and your representative. You can also call for objection if you feel something is being brought up unfairly, and without the proper amount of evidence or.
Your Honor, if I may say something myself,
You may go
before I
ahead.
call my client up to the stand for further discussion, I think it's
Absolutely.
clear that we're seeing Miss Alexis in a state that isn't.
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection granted. We did do a medical analysis of all the individuals before we came in here. Attempting to call this a mistrial due to the presence of mental illness will not stand. Do you have anything
Your
else
Honor,
to bring to the table, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, that's not what I'm referring to. I just think it's clear that Miss Alexis is having trouble understanding the fact that there is no proof in this case that my client can be guilty. There's no CCTV, although there is marks that could be called as something else. I would like to call my client, Mr. Arbaugh, for further questioning to the stand.
I accept your call for Mr. Arbaugh to become a witness. I decline your call that Miss Alexis is not mentally fit for this trial. Mr. Arbaugh, if you would like to take the stand, please step up to the bailiff and take your oath.
Your Honor, may I seat?
You may seat, victim.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Therefore, you will be under oath.
I swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Under oath.
You may be seated, sir.
If I could have you step over here to the left side of me, sir.
Your Honor, I will be asking my client further questions upon him.
Of course, you still have the floor,
statement.
sir.
Yes,
We're
sir.
just trying to get the oath underway.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I would like to make it apparent to the court that the prosecutors, the defendant, both the defendant himself and his representative now have the floor. Any speaking will result in you being removed from this court. You may proceed.
Come on, Jay. Come on, Jay.
Hello, Mr. Arbaugh. How are you this afternoon?
I'm good, Mr. McLean. How about yourself?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking. For the record, Your Honor, my client does have a written statement after further questions.
Understood.
Mr. Arbaugh, it seems that we are at a court today upon your two charges, one for felony evading and one for domestic violence. Are you aware of this?
I am.
Mr. Arbaugh, do you recall having any encounters with Miss Alexis of domestic abuse upon the citizen?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, sir. The question was, do you recall having any incidents before this of domestic abuse, of you physically, sexually, or mentally abusing Miss Alexis?
No, I have never sexually or mentally or physically abused anyone at all.
And to your knowledge, could Miss Alexis have the capability of leading a mistrial with unleading evidence?
I mean, she misled me for almost 5 months, so.
And Mr. Arbaugh, you say she misled you. Do you have any clear evidence that you can present to the jury that she misled you?
No, I do not.
All right, Mr. Arbaugh, I understand. Again, before you have your written statement, Mr. Arbaugh, I would like to speak on the floor in front of the jury. Your Honor, I think again I will bring this up. It's very clear that my client is at a very compatible state to take the stand and prove that he is innocent.
Jace,
There is no proof. Yes, sir.
I have a
My
crucial
client would
piece.
like
Objection,
to.
Your Honor.
I have a crucial piece of
Objection
evidence that they
accepted.
don't know.
You now have the floor, the prosecutor's representative.
Your Honor, you have pictures of Miss Alexis and the bruises on her feet,
That I
back,
do.
face, arms, everything. So that is irrelevant for what he is saying to you.
Objection. No proof that this is related to the crime.
If I may step in here, he is right. This could have been on a separate occasion. Therefore, there is no alternative or definite proof that this happened during the time period that you state. Is there any proof you can provide that would change that? I am speaking to you, the representative of the prosecutor. If I may ask, who took these pictures?
It
So,
was me, sir.
this is their whole game plan, okay?
Sir, and
They
are
know
you
that I
speaking
was there.
are
But
you also a law
there was a
enforcement
cop
official who was
out
there
back
on
that
the
I
scene?
walked right out the back
Yes, I
door
am.
past
I'm
and
the
walked
one
all the way
that
through
was
my
on the
yard
scene
before they
when
started
that
chasing
showed
me.
up.
So at that point in time, I didn't know they were there for me.
10-4. So these pictures are part of an
So
actual
I was there.
investigation
So yeah,
provided
I kind
from
of incriminated myself that I was there that day,
San Andreas
but
law
it
enforcement
doesn't,
officials, correct?
you know,
Yes, Your Honor.
doesn't kind of
Thank you
line
for
up.
clarifying, sir. Do you have anything else you'd like to say to me before you are seated and the defendants get to proceed with their case?
No, Your Honor, that's it.
You may be seated, sir. Defendants, you now have the floor.
Let me speak on my behalf.
Your Honor, I would like to grant the floor to my client, Mr. Arbaugh, to speak.
Permission is granted. You may speak, Mr. Arbaugh.
All right, thank you, honorable judge. I would like to make myself clear. Was I there that day? Yes, I was. But when all this occurred, the time lapse seems a little messed up to me, if you ask my opinion. When I will say I thought I was talking to the pizza guy, but I then walked out the back door of the premises, and there was an officer there standing out the back door, and he asked me if there was any other police up front, and I told him, well, I know that there's a pizza guy up there. And he said, okay, thank you, sir. You have a good day. Then I proceeded to walk through my backyard to go check on my cattle that is back there. And then when I turn around, I am being chased by the police. And I have no understanding of why I was being chased by the police. If that was considered fleeing and eluding, then I will take that charge.
Mr. Arbaugh,
But
may I ask you a question? I am sorry to interrupt, but I must ask a
no,
question
yes,
for
go ahead.
clarification. So, to my knowledge and to your knowledge, you were never indicated that you were under arrest or being stopped by law enforcement officials.
Correct, Honor. Like I said, I proceeded to walk out the back door, and the officer was standing back there in the backyard, and I walked right by him. He asked me how I was doing. I said good. Then he asked if I knew of any other police officers up front. I told him that I did not, that the only person that I knew was up there on the front porch was the pizza guy. At the time, as I thought was the pizza guy.
Understood. Do you have anything else to present for your case, Mr. Arbaugh?
No, not that I have of right now, unless my attorney has any other evidence or anything else that he would like
I
to
see.
provide.
You may speak, Representative.
Your Honor, I do. I now, after hearing my client's statement, both in front of the court and in front of the defendant, I believe it's evident, very clearly evident, that the police failed to identify. So therefore, my client should be released of the fleeing and eluding charge. Clearly, my client was not aware of the fact that he was being chased or followed by the police due to they made the mistake of failing to identify. Your Honor, that's all.
Understood. Both the defendant and his representative may be seated unless you have anything further to say at this time. You still have the floor, so please use this as an opportunity to make your conclusion.
Your Honor, I would like to make one more conclusion before we head out and make
Accepted.
the decision.
Go ahead, sir.
I know who that officer was. I would like to call him to the stand.
Your Honor, my client is both visually and verbally aware of the officer that was involved that failed to identify as well, that was on scene, and we would like to call him to the stand. Your Honor, my apologies for not being aware of this situation at the
That
moment.
will be accepted. If the officer who was involved in that would please take a stand. If he is in this courtroom.
Your Honor, I know exactly who it is. I know his face clearly.
And if you may take the oath over by the bailiff, you
I will.
ultimately have the floor. Would you like to question him, or would you like him just to speak on behalf of what you said?
I'm talking about the officer that failure to identify me that I walked past in my backyard.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor,
is your
I would like to.
representative going to question him, or is he just going to speak on behalf of what you said?
I would like my attorney to question him.
Absolutely.
I
Mr.
agree to
Arbaugh,
the
unless you have
situation.
anything further to say, you may say it. If not, you may take a seat back at your booth.
Okay, may I point out the officer that was in my backyard at that point in time?
Absolutely, although I feel like I know who it is.
It was that officer over there leaning up against the rail next to the corrections officer. I know his face, and that's the officer that failed to identify me. If I would like for him to come up here.
Officer, if you may take a stand in the front of the court, please.
Your Honor, just so it's clear for evidence in front of the courtroom, may we get the officer's name and badge number before
All
returning to
information
question?
will be provided. You may take a seat, Representative. Officer, if you may go up to the bailiff and take your oath.
Do you
I'm
swear?
sorry. Don't take a seat, Mr. Representative. I apologize. I forgot you were questioning him. You may stay standing at the floor, sir. But please be quiet while he takes his oath.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth? To swear on God that you are being placed under oath?
I do.
I told you they have shit that
You may take
they
a
don't
seat
have
for the
shit that I
record.
got.
Before you begin your questioning, can you please go ahead and give us your full
I'll
name,
take one of the
your
charges. I
rank,
don't care.
and which
I mean, it's
department
fine with me.
you serve under, sir?
That is happening.
501 Deputy Chief Fire William.
You may take the seat. You and the representative now have the floor.
Come on, Jay.
Thank you, Your Honor, for allowing me to have the floor. Deputy Chief Williams, how are you this afternoon? Nice table. I apologize.
Pretty good.
Wonderful. Just for the record of court, I will be questioning Mr. Williams upon further review. Mr. Williams, do you recall having a visual time frame that you were dispatched out to the scene of the so-called domestic abuse?
No, I do not. I cannot remember the time frame.
And it is to my understanding the call came out as a possible domestic violence in progress?
As I know, yes, but they didn't say it. The dispatcher didn't directly say it was a domestic violence to me. All I know is I needed to respond out to a call, and that's where I was going. I was en route as a 32.
Mr. Williams, so are you saying you do not recall what you were directly going out to the Arbaugh residence?
No, I do not remember.
Mr. Williams, do you believe that you were fit for deputy chief of the Sandy Shores Police Department?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Williams, it seems as soon as you arrived on scene, what was your next move?
What happened next was I arrived on scene, I turned off my lights, and I pulled up right by the other officer's vehicle. I went up to the door, and that's when I asked him what was going on. He told me what was going on. It was a domestic violence, and that's when I knew what it was.
And Mr. I apologize. Go ahead.
And then after that, the officer told me to go around the back. And as soon as I walked into the back, that's when I was standing right by the house, away from the windows, and there was a lot of radio traffic going on, and I didn't know if he wanted me to stop the guy or not.
And Mr. Williams, do you recall Mr. Arbaugh having any weapons on his personnel?
As I seen, no, he did not.
And Mr. Williams, what was your next move after you were informed by your supervisor that you were on scene of a domestic violence?
He told me that I called in that there was a door in the back that he could come through, and that I should wait there just in case he comes out. Just to let you know, I did not have I did not know what the guy looked like. I didn't know if there was more than one person inside, so yeah.
Mr. Williams, I believe that is irrelevant to the case. My next question is, upon seeing Mr. Arbaugh exit the residence, do you recall identifying to Mr. Arbaugh who you were and what you were there for?
I do not remember that.
So, Your Honor, it seems we have an officer here that failed to identify to my client, Mr. Arbaugh, making
Objection,
my
Your
client...
Honor.
Objection granted. Go ahead and speak on behalf of your objection, sir.
Your Honor, my officer had told Mr. Arbaugh that he was the LSPD or Sandy PD deputy chief. I have it all in writing here.
Understood. And can you present that evidence to my bailiff, who will present it to me?
I can, Your Honor.
That's
Your Honor,
false.
although
Do
he,
so.
Your Honor,
He still
although
has
he
the floor,
has...
sir. Just please give him one moment to present the
Yes,
evidence
Your
for me
Honor.
to review it.
Oh, I thought he did. He identified, or did he not?
May I also ask
I'm
to
pretty
either
sure he
the
didn't
witness
identify.
here
Give me a
or
second.
the representative of the prosecutor, do we have any body cam footage of the incident? If so, would it be possible for that to be sent to me? If not, I understand.
Here you go, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, may I proceed with my questioning to Mr. Williams?
Please give me one moment to review the evidence.
Yes, Your Honor.
As I recall, I don't know if he done it. I don't know if he did or not. All I know is I walked out. I identified him as a law enforcement officer,
Give me just one moment.
but I didn't know he was there for me. So
I apologize for the halting court.
that's
but
why
I'm caught up with
I
the
just kept
evidence before
walking.
I-
But he did say, "Hello, sir. How are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing good." And he said, "Oh, okay, that's good," or something along them lines. And then I proceeded to walk off. And then when I was walking, that's when I noticed him chasing after me, and I felt, well, I can't say I felt threatened for my life, but I mean, in a sense, in a way, I
have
did.
either
Yeah.
the defendant's, or I'm sorry, the prosecutor's representative or the eyewitness here to speak in the top left for me. It would make my job a lot easier. Based on the evidence here, it does say that he did he did identify himself and his rank, as well as what department he was in. With
Your
that,
Honor,
I'm going to
so-
go ahead and leave that closed and let you have the floor, sir.
Your Honor, so although it is evident that he did identify, is it clear on the body cam footage whether he identified to my client? Although he may have identified his rank and who he was, did he clearly state to my client that you are being detained and he needs to stop walking? Because if so, I believe there's no clear evidence that he chose the right manner to identify to my client of what was going on.
May I also interject and explain that in the law of California, if you are being stopped by a law enforcement official, whether he identifies himself or not, you still must stop. He's still wearing all the proper identity badges.
Objection, because he never stopped me.
What department he works for, and what possibly his rank is.
Objection, Your Honor. There is no clear that wasn't my statement that I was referring to. I was referring to he never, unless there is clear evidence on the body cam, he never told my client, Mr. Arbaugh, that he was being stopped. Although he identified, he never said stop to my knowledge, Your Honor.
Understood. You may proceed.
Mr. Williams, how long have you been deputy chief of the police departments here in San Andreas?
About 2 months.
And Mr. Williams, what was your rank before being assigned the deputy chief rank?
I was actually a deputy of the San Andreas Sheriff Department.
And Mr. Williams, why did you choose to transfer from that department?
Objection, Your Honor. Unwrongfully.
It's objection granted. You may proceed.
Mr.
Objection
Williams.
granted, prosecutor representative. You may proceed. I do accept the unrelevance of this and wish you to speak to a more relevant topic. His position has
My
nothing
apologies,
to do with
Your
his
Honor.
actions.
I'll move on.
No problem, sir. You may proceed.
Mr. Williams, you took the deputy chief position to serve and protect the citizens and abide by the laws in the state of San Andreas, correct?
Yes, I did.
And Mr. Williams, it is clear, if Your Honor, I'd like you to review the body cam footage and see if this if this deputy chief told my client, Mr. Arbaugh, to stop in his tracks.
If I may ask to both the prosecutors of the court as well as the eyewitness here, do we have an actual documentation of the body cam?
You know what I mean?
Do what?
Like,
If not, then I will go ahead and review it through the chief's
Can I object myself?
body cam reader. What that will entail is it will be reviewed.
Ask the judge if you can object, and I'd like to speak on that topic.
And on the top left, they allow me to know some evidence. Therefore, I will be reviewing
I'm representing
that
you right now.
It may take me a little bit longer, but I'm going to go ahead and
What's
review the
your
body cam.
objection?
I want nothing but the truth to be
To the fact that he did not stop me. He did not. He clarified himself, yes, as a deputy chief, but he did not stop me and tell me that I was being detained in any sort of way.
I want you to say something. Or no, don't say nothing accidentally.
You're the okay, understood. I must have misunderstood. I'm going to go ahead and review it now. If I could just, we are going to call for a 5-minute recess while I review.
Your Honor, could I say something really quick?
Your Honor, I believe I have the floor. I would not like the victim to speak at this time.
No problem. You do have the floor. I do apologize for forgetting that fact. You may proceed, sir. You are not dismissed.
Ask if I can speak from here.
If the prosecutor would just wait patiently, you will have the floor here in a moment.
Your Honor, may I ask for a 5-minute recess upon returning to the court, please?
The recess is granted as so I can go ahead and review the evidence that has been provided to me.
Let's go, Mr.